I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce.
The sun was setting over the Bahamas, casting a golden hue across the sky, but for Aaliyah, the light was already fading. She had just finished filming what would tragically become her final music video, Rock the Boat. At just 22, the rising star stood near the edge of a quiet runway, facing a decision that felt heavy. A small white Cessna 402B waited on the tarmac, its engine humming beneath the tropical sky. But something felt wrong. Aaliyah had told her team she wasn't feeling well, she had a headache, she said, and instead of heading straight to the plane, she climbed into a taxi, rested her head, and closed her eyes. What unfolded after that moment has haunted fans, family, and investigators for more than 20 years. And now, new revelations are emerging, rekindling old questions and suggesting that what happened that night may be part of a much deeper, more disturbing story.
She was unconscious. She didn't choose to get on that plane. There were phone calls made. There are witnesses who signed NDAs.
A local witness, just 13 years old at the time, was helping his family manage transportation for Aaliyah and her team. Looking back, he recalls something chilling. Aaliyah never walked onto that plane willingly. According to his account, she was asleep, some say sedated, when members of her entourage allegedly carried her aboard the small Cessna 402B. It's a detail that has reignited lingering suspicions about that tragic day. Was it truly just an accident, or was something far more sinister at play? The facts raise troubling questions. The plane was reportedly over 700 pounds above its weight limit. The pilot wasn't certified to fly that model and had banned substances in his system. Why was this flight approved? Why the sudden rush to leave, when a safer charter had already been arranged for the following day? And then there's the weight that can't be measured, the weight of Aaliyah's cultural influence. Her sound. Her vision. Her future. When she died in that devastating crash, it left a void in our bone that the industry quickly moved to fill. Not long after, another rising artist began to ascend. She had been part of a girl group, but the timing of her solo breakout was impossible to ignore. Her name? Beyoncé.
I'm not saying allegedly.
Oh.
I'm saying, Sean Carter, you're a piece of shit. Taking Pimp C wasn't bad enough. You just want to go down there and you want to just remove all of the balls from every real gangster in Houston.
That's where the whispers start to harden into theories, and these days, theories spread faster than the denials meant to quiet them. Aaliyah wasn't just a rising star, she was orbiting the very core of the music industry's power structure. Jay-Z had shown interest in her romantically. Diddy was frequently nearby, sharing stages, attending the same events, working with the same collaborators. And then there was Beyoncé. In 2001, she hadn't yet stepped into her solo era, but those in the know could already see she was being positioned as the next major force in our what remains unclear, clouded by speculation, conflicting accounts, and quiet legal settlements. The timing. Why the rush to leave the island? Why the chaos around that final flight? Shipping mistakes, delayed video equipment. The original plane was changed. Weight restrictions were ignored. And Aaliyah's mother later settled multiple lawsuits related to the crash quietly, without public acknowledgement. But now, there's renewed attention on the scheduling itself. According to a theory circulating among insiders, someone connected to Beyoncé's camp may have influenced the logistics surrounding Aaliyah's Rock the Boat shoot. The claim? That there was pressure to get Aaliyah back to the US early for a promotional opportunity, one that never made it to the public calendar. The theory remains unverified, the details hazy, but the timing? Suspiciously convenient. No names have been formally tied to the decisions made that day, but the murmur around it all is growing louder and harder to ignore.
What's up, what's up? This is Beyoncé on the red carpet with one of the hottest female artists out here, Miss Aaliyah. How you doing, girl?
There's one question that keeps bubbling to the surface, impossible to submerge for long. If Aaliyah had lived, Where would Beyoncé be today? In 2001, Aaliyah was poised to redefine what it meant to be a modern superstar. Her self-titled final album had just dropped to critical acclaim. She was acting in major films, modeling for top designers, and carving out a lane all her own, effortlessly blending R&B, pop, hip-hop, and high fashion. While Beyoncé was undeniably talented, Aaliyah had an otherworldly magnetism. She wasn't just ahead of the curve, she was the curve. Untouchable, unbothered, unmatched, and in the entertainment industry, where timing is everything, the timing of her death has begun to look less like cruel fate and more like a door flung wide open. That's when another name re-enters the frame, Sean Diddy Combs. Once celebrated for his business acumen and larger-than-life persona, Diddy is now facing a wave of lawsuits that paint a far darker picture, one filled with coercion, manipulation, and carefully engineered silence. One suit even alleges a coordinated system, a ring, designed to control, exploit, and erase, and suddenly, the threads begin to connect. Diddy was tight with Jay-Z. Jay-Z, by many accounts, was romantically pursuing Aaliyah. And Beyoncé, well, she eventually married Jay-Z and rose under the same shadowy umbrella of influence. To some, it looks less like coincidence and more like designer triangle of power, a carefully guarded hierarchy. And within that structure, Aaliyah's untimely death feels less like an isolated tragedy and more like a pivotal shift. The kind that changes the entire direction of an industry.
There are people who did short sales on their stocks right after that, made a lot of money, including Sean Carter. Now I'm going to ask you, why would non-disclosure agreements need to be signed for an accident?
According to a former insider who once worked with a charter broker connected to the fatal flight, there were phone calls made in the hours leading up to Aaliyah's departure, but not to aviation authorities or safety officials. The calls, he claims, went to handlers. What was discussed remains unknown. But what is known is this: the decision to switch aircraft, the push to leave that night instead of waiting for a safer, scheduled flight the next day. It all happened under pressure. The lingering question is, pressure from whom? And it's a question no one seems eager to answer. The pilot, Luis Morales, had a troubling history. He was on probation for a drug-related offense involving crack cocaine. He wasn't even licensed to fly the Cessna 402B. Toxicology reports later confirmed he had illegal substances in his system at the time of the crash. But Morales didn't hire himself. Someone selected him. Someone approved the flight. Someone ignored every clear warning about weight and balance limits. Federal aviation regulations were bypassed. The plane was severely overloaded. Weight distribution was off. And within seconds of liftoff, the wings failed. The aircraft broke apart, dropped from the sky, and slammed into the ground like a stone. It wasn't just a crash. It was a chain of decisions, some negligent, others potentially deliberate, that ended in a fiery wreck and a loss the music world still hasn't recovered from.
Would you need to sign a don't ask about a plane crash if it was accidental?
Yeah. Do you feel like...
Riddle me that. Riddle me that. Work with me here in this moment.
And I'm gonna ask you.
A plane crash should be accidental.
And according to one chilling testimony shared years later, that may have been exactly what someone intended. In a book by music journalist Kathy Yanderley, a former Bahamian local claimed Aaliyah was given substances before being carried unconscious the plane. Her hesitation was real. Witnesses say she didn't want to get on that flight. She was scared. But someone else made the decision for her. That's when the narrative shifted from "was this an accident?" to "who wanted her gone?" And the names surrounding that question have only grown darker with time. Jay-Z, who once courted Aaliyah and was known to have sent her flowers, now finds himself entangled in serious allegations. Just last year, he was named in a civil lawsuit involving misconduct with a teenager during a music industry event. The claims include a private party, a non-disclosure agreement, and a night that ended in alleged trauma. That case remains ongoing. What's striking is how closely these allegations echo those facing Diddy claims of coercion, secrecy, and systemic abuse. Same industry, same inner circles, same city, same summer. The deeper you look, the more the lines begin to blur between coincidence and coordination, tragedy, and design.